elements with CSS to style them properly. So let's get started. So starting from my okay, so this is where I'll be starting from. We already have a default style here, so we've learned how to create external style sheets. So I'll click on it. So and so far so we have this as our output. So I'll be making the outputs. Let me just I explained how to grab this data, the elements, HTML elements from the styling sheet. So we grab the body, and in the body we added a property, a background color property. So and in the background color we assign a value to it, which is color blue, and the same thing is applicable to others. So now we'll be changing this color blue to let me use something pretty much more cool. Let me just use, okay, let me use something like this, and then I'll change this one to okay, let me use, and let me see the output. Okay, I like this. So now I'm going to show you how to grab data, how to grab CSS element from a div. So I'm going to have a div here. Div is more or less like a section. So mostly we'll be using div. Once you type div, press your tab key to autocomplete, then press enter. So in my div, I'll be adding some attributes, which is class attributes. Class attributes is one of the things that you'll be working with as we progress in this class. So let's build a rectangle. Okay, so let's build a rectangle, and let us build a square. Okay, let the first one be square. Okay, so now let me grab this square. Majorly it is we have nested all our content inside the body tag. So using this class square is assigned to this div, which means anything inside this div, if I try to declare this square in my styling sheets, it will be really references to this div content here. So now, for instance, now let me grab it. This is my style. So let me go to my style sheets. Now before we do that, let me teach us something very simple to make it pretty much more easy. Just go to the top, in your own screen, it should be on the left hand part. At the top you will see split editor. Click on it. You should have something like this. So we want to preview our HTML on the left, then our CSS on the right. So since my HTML is open here and it is also open here, all I just need is I just need my CSS here. So you can over my mouse here. Once you have this sign on your mouse, you can drag and come here. We are cool to go. Then I can cancel this one. So we have our CSS here, then we have our HTML here. If yours actually open directly without doing this, then you can proceed. So with this, you can close your file explorer so to have a better screen. So now I have my div here. If I refresh my code, you will see nothing happens. Okay, so now let me try to grab this square. So I want to grab this square. To grab a class, because this is a class, to grab a class you have to start with period. So that's full stop square. So I'm going to open. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me declare the background color so you will see how it works. Let me use something nicer, width. Okay, let me declare the width. Let me square, let's use 200 pixel. Then the height 200 pixel. Okay, so let's see what happens. Beautiful. You can see what we have, the square box. Okay, so now let me just try to, for instance, let me just add some little styling, margin. Let me just set it to auto. So let's see what happens. You can see automatically it's shifted this box from this angle to the center. Usually when you start coding, everything starts from the left hand side, just like the way we write notes. So let's do the same thing for our rectangle. Let me just copy this and paste here, then change the class name. So rectangle, you have to, you can say rectangle. If the name is not correct, it won't work fine. So let me add some color here. We had gold. Okay, so rectangle by default, when you look at it, they have the same size. Rectangle length is always longer than a square, so we have to increase the width. Let's say times 2, that's 400. And okay, so cool, you can now see the difference. So let's do some little touch to this. You notice that the rectangle is very close to the square, so all the way we need to do, we need to add some little spacing. So we can achieve that by just saying that okay, let's try this padding top. So let me add 10 pixels. Let's see what will happen. Okay, you can see nothing happened. Why? Because the padding and margin has their different way at which they function. Okay, let's change this to margin. So I will have to margin. Okay, so see what happens. You notice immediately there is a small space between the two. So the calculation for this small space is 10 pixels. Anything you are doing as a programmer is on calculations. All this screen that you are seeing are based on calculations. So don't worry, we will still get to learn how to calculate those, to do those calculations. So we have been able to get our div styled using CSS, using the class method. So the method earlier we have used, and we can also okay, before we proceed, we understood how we pick the inner tag with this. Then this is the class, then this is related to class. So if you are going to style it, any element in your HTML using the class method, it has to start with period, which is full stop, then the class name. You have to make sure it is correct. If it is not correct, it will not work. So that's just the logic. So let's move to ID. Okay, so let's move to ID. So let me create another div. So I'm gonna be using, let me add some text. This is some little text here for IDs. Okay, so in my div I'm gonna have an ID. Type ID, press the tab key. Okay, cool. So checkout ID. Let me just say ID selector, for instance. ID selector. Okay, so we're going to select style this div through the use of ID. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to have come here. So instead of using period, you have to use the pound sign. So this is the pound sign, then you add the name, then you add your curly braces. So then okay, let me just add some little color here. So let me just use this. Let me add some font style, font size rather. Font size, let me just use let me something extra large. So let's see how the output. Okay, there you go, you can see. Okay, let me change the color so you can see it clearly. Okay, I'll change the color like this. Can hold the color this way. Something pretty much. Okay, look at this. So I actually grabbed this div through the use of the ID selector. So we have three main methods. So let me just walk you around through the use case. So